Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Sunday school class this July 19th. It's been some interesting weather for July for us this year. Not 110, I guess we won't complain, huh? Have a lot to be thankful for, so let me open with prayer then and thank the Lord for this day and for this time, and then we'll get right in. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for everything that you provide for us every day. We are beyond blessed beyond measure. We just thank you for our time that we have together to fellowship, to open your word, to read, and to learn more about you. And we thank you for entering our hearts and our minds and teaching us what it means to be righteous and for us to strive to be better every single day. And we thank you so much for your mercy and for your grace that even though we fall short constantly, you are always there picking us up and always helping us get to the end state of happiness and joy and peace that only you can provide. We thank you for our friends, our family, our children, our co-workers, and everybody around the world that are all your children. And we know that they all need your son Jesus, and we pray that those that might be hurting or lost or confused in this world are able to be touched by your spirit and are able to find you, Lord, and to be able to find that peace and joy that you provide for us. So we hope that we can be ambassadors and be a light in this world, and that's why we study, and that's why we learn more about you. And I thank you again for this day and this time and for what your Son has done on the cross for us. And in your Son's name, Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So last week we started the book of Joshua. I've been very excited to get into this book. It's getting real if it hasn't been real already. Genesis and Exodus, wow, there was so much to unpack in those books. And getting through Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, it was quite a journey already, and it's only going to continue from here. So when we ended the Torah, as we know, that was the end of Moses' time and Moses' life here on earth, and Joshua was appointed to pick up where his work had finished. So in Joshua 1, last week we went over Joshua chapters 1 and then we got into 2, but the main things in Joshua 1 that we talked about were Joshua was appointed by God to lead the Israelites into the Promised Land. So they're right there. They're right on the edge of the Jordan River. They're ready to go, but Joshua needed to get a couple of things ready so that they could be prepared to go. So let's see. In Joshua 1, they also, they gathered their wives and little ones and cattle, and they had everything which Moses gave them in verse 14. But ye shall pass before the brethren armed, and all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord had given your brethren rest, as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land, unto it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave you on this side of the Jordan towards the sun rising. So that was the other tribes that are going to stay, but they're going to cross over, it sounds like, to help. And yes.
Yeah, I was going to mention something about Joshua chapter 1, and I thought it was pretty. I once heard a Nazarene preacher up in Anadarko preach a great message on this verse 1. His whole message was, Moses, my servant, is dead. So what was he saying? Move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Don't cling to the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought that was a really great message. Too often we want to cling to the past with a nostalgic point of view of the past. He says, hey, Moses is done, now it's your time. But keep going.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to go, that's for sure. But I thought it was interesting. That was one thing I found also was interesting about one in chapter 12 or verse 12. Sorry, the Reubenites and to the Gadiites and to the half of the tribe of the Manasseh, Joshua, and then we skip down to 14, which I just read, verse 14. I believe Joshua is asking them to cross over the Jordan with them to at least help them get settled in. Is that what everybody else gathered from that? And then it said, and then you can pass back into the land on the other side of the Jordan where Moses had already promised your lot or your inheritance there. But I found that pretty interesting. It was just like, it says in 15, until the Lord have given your brethren rest as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them, and then ye shall return unto the land of your possession and enjoy it, which Moses the Lord's servant gave to you on this side of the Jordan towards the sun rising. So I thought that was pretty interesting, just of note in chapter 1.
It's also interesting, Ryan, that is actually the area where the Moabites were. So
right.
They had conquered the Moabites, and then they established these 2.5 tribes over there. But you still find the Moabites later on, don't you?
Yeah.
So the Moabites were completely gone. You know, the devil will never be vanquished until Jesus comes back and casts him into the lake of fire. The devil's always going to keep coming back.
I just think that's so interesting. Like in my mind, I'm thinking, they're just like, well, we already got our spot right here. Our tents are set up and everything. Why, and Joshua's like, you're not going to sit here and just rest and take it easy now that you've already got your spot. You're going to help us get everybody else settled in. It's like calling your friends to help you move, You
remember where Naomi went with her husband? Whenever they left Jerusalem?
Yeah.
They went over to Moab.
Huh. Yeah, it's interesting how Joshua is orchestrating things here in this chapter. And then in chapter 2, we know that I want to go. I want to do a little overview before I jump into that. But I heard one pastor that I was listening to when I was looking up different sermons about Joshua, and one pastor broke this down as just a quick overview of Joshua, and this is his breakdown. It's not mine, but he said that you can kind of find 4 main sections in Joshua, where chapters 1 through 5 is Joshua leading the Israelites into the Promised Land, and then 6 through 12 is kind of more where they meet hostility with the Canaanites and engage in battles, and 13 through 22. There's after the victories, Joshua is dividing up the land for inheritance of the tribes, and then in chapters 23 and 24, the last 2 chapters of Joshua, that's Joshua's final words and speeches to the people. So that was like a quick overview of the whole book of Joshua, but we're going to dive into it and get a lot more into it. But yeah, in chapter 2, which we read the whole thing last Sunday, the spies were sent. Joshua sent 2 men to secretly spy into the city on the other side of the Jordan before in the land in Jericho there. But they met a harlot, which is very interesting to me. That there's quite a few times in the Bible where it seems God uses people who you might not expect to be the person that the type of person that God would use. But it just reminds me about how everybody is God's children, and not everybody makes the best decisions in their life. But the good thing is God knows everybody's heart, and I'm going to talk about that later. But I find it very interesting when I think about God knowing everything. God knows the beginning all the way through to the end. And even though we have free will, since I believe that God does know everything, I think He knows where my heart's going to be, even later in my life where I don't even know where it's going to be. But sometimes when you're in the middle of the weeds or you're reading the stories and you're like, well, this person's not very person of a great stature, but But God knows where their end result's going to be. And he knows what's going to change in their life and how much better they're going to be serving the Lord in later years. So I find that pretty interesting that it makes of note about Rahab there. But Rahab houses those two spies and protects them in the city and shields them from persecution, I guess, there and for that time. And later she's going to be blessed for that. So we'll get to there, hopefully there in chapter 6. But she makes a promise with them in verses 12 through 22. She makes a covenant with those spies, and we read through that. But I want to back up to there was one verse that really stuck out to me that I was reading, and obviously God was speaking to them at this time. But there's a verse back in chapter 1, verse 9, that if you're ever dealing with a struggle or something, you can apply that verse to your life. And I'll reread that one before we go further, because I that one really strikes home to me. And it says, "Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest." So if you ever need to cherish a verse in your heart, there's so many to do so, but that's one that I like to throw in there. And kind of like walking through the valley of the death and fearing no evil, that's one that you can hold strong in Joshua 1:9. That's a good one. But yeah, so just a quick recap of what we went through last week. The spies, at the end of chapter 2, they get back to report to Joshua. So the two men returned, verse 23. So the two men returned and descended from the mountains and passed over and came to Joshua the son of Nun and told him all the things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, "Truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us." And so God has definitely placed some fear into the people of Jericho because they've heard of all the things that God has done for Israel up until this point. So chapter 3 is a beautiful chapter, and I'm going to go ahead and just read it all because I believe it's pretty powerful imagery here, where we have seen something like this before when God delivered Israel out of Egypt and parting the Red Sea. So, verse 1. "And Joshua rose early in the morning, and they removed from Shittim and came to Jordan, he and all the children of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. And it came to pass after 3 days that the officers went through the host, and they commanded the people, saying, When ye see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and the priests of the Levites bearing it, then ye shall remove from your place and go after it. Yet there shall be a space between you and it, and about 2,000 cubits by measure. Come not near unto it, that ye may know the way by which ye must go. For ye have not passed this way heretofore. And Joshua said unto the people, Sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you." Verse 6. "And Joshua spake unto the priests, saying, Take up the ark of the covenant, and pass over before the people. And they took up the ark of the covenant, and went before the people. And the Lord said unto Joshua, This day I will begin to magnify thee in the sight of all Israel, and they may know that as I was with Moses, so I will be with thee." So God's going to make a great show of power and faith in Joshua here, so that everyone will know without a doubt. And verse 8, "And thou shalt command the priests that bear the ark of the covenant, saying, When ye are to come to the brink of the water of Jordan, ye shall stand still in Jordan, and pass. And Joshua said unto the children of Israel, Come hither, and hear the words of the Lord your God. And Joshua said, Hereby ye shall know that the living God is among you, and that he will without fail drive out from before you the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Hivites, and the Perizzites, and the Girgashites. I probably mispronounced that, and the Amorites, and the Jebusites. Behold, the ark of the covenant of the Lord of all the earth passes over before you into Jordan. Now therefore take you 12 men out of the tribes of Israel, out of every tribe a man, and it shall come to pass as soon as the soles of the feet of the priests that bear the ark of the Lord of all the earth, shall rest in the waters of Jordan, that the waters of Jordan shall be cut off from the waters that come down from above, and they shall stand upon a heap. And it came to pass, when the people were removed from their tents to pass over Jordan, and the priests bearing the ark of the covenant before the people, and as they that bear the ark were come unto Jordan, and the feet of the priests that bear the ark were dipped in the brim of the water, for Jordan overfloweth all his banks all the time of harvest. And the waters which came down from above stood and rose up upon a heap very far from the city Adam, that is beside Zertan. And those that came down towards the sea of the plain, even the salt sea, failed and were cut off, and the people passed over right against Jericho. And the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord stood firm on dry ground in the midst of Jordan. And all the Israelites passed over on dry ground until all the people passed clean over Jordan. So what a powerful image that must be, to have been there to witness that, to see yet another river completely dried up in a particular section, I'm assuming, where the ark was passing over, so that everybody could walk across dry ground. Just another wonderful image to try to paint in your mind. But there's also another interesting thing where they make a memorial with 12 stones for each of the tribes of Israel in chapter 4. And so in chapter 4, in verse 9, and Joshua set up 12 stones in the midst of Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests which bear the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there unto this day. So I think that's a wonderful thing to try to wrap my head around. And I mentioned last week that I would try to see if I would find a scholar that may have had a better accurate idea of where in the Jordan that would be. But I never found anything yet. I'll have to keep looking, and maybe one day I'll be able to share my thoughts on that. But wouldn't that be amazing, just to just to ask God one day, like, can you point that out on the earth? You know, whenever I get to meet the Lord one day, that might be one of my questions. I would like to see where that's at. Are they still there? Are they still piled up? A nice memorial? Yeah. And I'll go back and read some of that because it is really interesting to me. God uses a lot of memorials throughout the Bible, at least so far up to this point. There's been several times where even people's burial places and things like that. There's got to be so many holy places around this, especially around that region, that would just be so amazing to try to go find and look for today. But I don't know that I'll get the chance. But maybe, like I said, maybe one day God will reveal those places for me. But I'll start with verse 1 and see how far we can get here today. Because I just love all of this, and I don't really want to skip over it. So verse 1, and it came to pass, when all the people were clean passed over Jordan, that the Lord spake unto Joshua, saying, Take you 12 men out of the people, out of every tribe a man, and command ye them, saying, Take ye hence out of the midst of Jordan, out of the place where the priest's feet stood firm, 12 stones, and ye shall carry them over with you, and leave them in a lodging place, where ye shall lodge this night. Then Joshua called the 12 men, whom he had prepared of the children of Israel, out of every tribe a man, and Joshua said unto them, Pass over before the ark of the Lord your God into the midst of Jordan, And take ye up every man of you a stone upon his shoulder, according unto the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, that this may be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean ye by these stones? Then ye shall answer them, that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, when it passed over Jordan. The waters of the Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever. And the children of Israel did so, as Joshua commanded, and took up 12 stones out of the midst of the Jordan, and as the Lord spake unto Joshua, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel, and carried them over with them unto the place where they lodged, and laid them down there. And then verse 9 that we read earlier. And Joshua set up 12 stones in the midst of Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priest which bear the ark of the covenant stood, and they are there unto this day. So that was a very interesting passage to me. I really enjoyed reading that and really pondering that for a while. And I'll continue. For the priests which bear the ark stood in the midst of Jordan unto everything was finished, that the Lord commanded Joshua to speak unto the people according to all that Moses commanded Joshua. And the people hasted and passed over. And it came to pass, when all the people were clean passed over, that the ark of the Lord passed over, and the priests in the presence of the people, and the children of Reuben and the children of Gad and half the tribe of Manasseh passed over, armed before the children of Israel, as Moses spake unto them. About 40,000 prepared for war passed over before the Lord unto battle to the plains of Jericho. On that day the Lord magnified Joshua in the sight of all of Israel, and they feared him as they feared Moses all the days of his life. So God did according to his promise. He said that he would show the people that he is appointed, as he was with Moses, he is with Joshua. And what a sight to behold the people of Jericho, I'm sure, when they hear that the Lord had parted yet another river for all these people to cross on dry land. I could only imagine why they feared and trembled for this. I think if I was in Jericho, I probably would have. And I do believe that there were people in Jericho that turned to God. I know that most of them probably were worshiping another god, but obviously Rahab and her family. So I'm wondering if there was others. But if you were in the city of Jericho at the time, wouldn't you think, I think I'm going with their God? But yeah, I think that those people that were there, they should be probably worried if 40,000 warriors passed over that river there. And it'll continue here. There's too much good stuff in here to pass even one verse. So I'm going to have to keep going. Because in 15, the Lord spoke unto Joshua, saying, Command the priests that bear the ark of the testimony, that they come up out of Jordan. Joshua therefore commanded the priests, saying, Come ye up out of Jordan. And it came to pass, when the priests that bear the ark of the covenant of the Lord were come up out of the midst of the Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were lifted up onto the dry land, that the waters of Jordan returned unto their place, and flowed over all his banks, as they did before. In verse 19, again about the memorial of stones. And the people came up out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and encamped in Gilgal, in the east border of Jericho. And those 12 stones which they took out of Jordan did Joshua pitch in Gilgal. And he spake unto the children of Israel, saying, When your children shall ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean these stones? Then ye shall let your children know, saying, Israel came over this Jordan on dry land, for the Lord your God dried up the waters of Jordan from before you, until ye were passed over, as the Lord your God did to the Red Sea, which he dried up from before us until we were gone over. So there Joshua brought up the time when God dried up the Red Sea for them to cross out of Egypt. So I can only imagine how marvelous and how wondrous that must have been to witness that. it's pretty remarkable to read. Verse 24, that all the people of the earth might know the hand of the Lord that is mighty, that ye might fear the Lord your God forever. Then that concludes chapter 4 of Joshua. So at this point, they have finally crossed over the Jordan River. What a remarkable point that they've been waiting all this time, and this is the final. And this was the spot in which Moses got to the end of his journey, and they have finally gone further past where Moses had left them. And they're on the eastern side of the city of Jericho at this time, and now we're going to learn about the fear of Israel that's going to take place in the hearts of those. And another interesting thing in verse 5, or in chapter 5, is the angelic warrior that Joshua is going to encounter. So, in verse 5, or chapter 5, verse 1, it says, And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Lord had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel until we were passed over, and their hearts melted. Neither was their spirit in them any more because of the children of Israel. So, wow, word spread fast, didn't it? From the Amorites, which were on the side westward of the Jordan, right where they crossed over, all the way to the Canaanites, which were by the sea. So I'm assuming all the way close to where the modern-day Gaza Strip is, or along the sea there. That's a good stretch of land from the Jordan over. That's basically all the way across Jerusalem. So I can only imagine how fast word must have traveled back then, that we think we have all this technology and stuff, but they were able to share this word, and it came all the way across really, really quickly. And 5 goes into some more details about the children of Israel. So in verses 2 through 4, Joshua was told to make sharp knives to circumcise the children of Israel that had not been circumcised yet. And it says that all the people that came out of Egypt, in verse 4, that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. And it's referencing the people who were already circumcised in Moses' time. So basically, just as Moses had to do for those back then, Joshua is going to have to do that again now, because it says, now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way, as they came forth out of Egypt, they had not been circumcised. So later on in verse 8, it came to pass when they had done circumcising all the people that they abode in their places in the camp where they were whole. And the Lord said unto Joshua, This day I have rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of this place is called Gilgal unto this day. So there is where that was performed, in the place of Gilgal, where also the stones are. So I guess if I was ever able to find that place, I would get pretty close, wouldn't I? So they have a Passover that's observed there as well in verses 10 through 12. The children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the selfsame day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. Now, this is where something interesting happens in chapter 5, verses 13 through 15. I've heard this person be referenced as an angelic warrior of God's army, or the captain of the host of the Lord. But this angelic being of sorts meets with Joshua. And I'll read in verse 13. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went up to him and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. That reminds me of a time back in Exodus where Moses had to do something similar and take his shoes off whenever he met God at the burning bush. So I like that reference, and so that's a very interesting part of chapter 5 to take of note. And that leads us into chapter 6, which I was thrilled to get to today, and it looks like I'll have time to read through it with us, because this is the siege of Jericho. So Joshua gives the Israelites instructions about how to perform this, and what to take and what not to take, and the right way to go about it. And then we'll see what is to come of Rahab and her household. So I've been looking forward to this chapter. And I even reread it myself this morning just because I wanted to, I hoped to get here this Sunday morning and
Ryan,
refresh my mind.
I just got to think about the chapter of the two women, right? Rahab, how she hid the spies.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the way you read it, it's like she didn't even question it.
Oh yeah,
And
no.
then when they came to look for him, it was like, hey, they never been here. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that would be very, very honorable.
Well, let's go back there for a second, if you guys don't mind. I would like to refresh us about what happened there. I read it last Sunday, but I know some of us weren't here. And if you haven't heard this before, it is wonderful. So I have enough time to get through 6, I think, still. So I'll go back to chapter 2. It's a pretty short chapter. I read verses 1 and 2 earlier this morning where the two spies were sent. But in verse 3, and I'll go back on my slide here too, Rahab hides the two spies. And I'll quickly read through there. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, Bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. And the women took the two men and hid them, and said thus, There came men unto me, but I wist not whereince they were. And it came to pass about the time of shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whither the men went I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan unto the fords, and as soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up upon them upon the roof, and said to them, the men, I know that the Lord hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea for you, when you came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. So, yeah, she definitely had a change of heart of sorts. I don't know what her belief was prior to this, but after she heard these things, she is a believer in the God of Israel. Because she clearly stated that He is God in heaven above and in earth beneath. So she goes there to make the covenant, and that's in verses 12 through 22. And I still have enough time to read through that too. I'll just finish that. Chapter 12, or verse 12, sorry. Now therefore I pray you, swear unto me by the Lord, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, and that ye will save alive my father, and my mother, and my brethren, and my sisters, and all that I have, and deliver us our lives from death. And the men answered her, Our lives for yours, if ye utter not this our business. And it shall be, when the Lord hath given us the land, that we will deal kindly and truly with thee. So they're saying, if you don't tell anybody that we were here, then, we will promise you that. And the man answered her, verse 15. Then she let them down by a cord through the window, for her house was upon the town wall, and she dwelt upon the wall. And she said unto them, Get you to the mountain, lest your pursuers meet you, and hide yourselves there 3 days until the pursuers be returned, and afterwards may ye go your way. And the men said unto her, We will be blameless of this thine oath which thou hast made us swear. Behold, when we come into the land, thou shalt bind this line of scarlet thread in the window which thou didst let us down by. And thou shalt bring thy father and thy mother and thy brethren and all thy father's household home unto thee. And it shall be that whosoever shall go out of the doors of thine house into the street, his blood shall be upon his head, and we will be guiltless. And whosoever shall be within thee in the house, his blood shall be on our head, if any hand be upon him. So they promised there to keep them safe as long as they're in this house, and this house is marked with the scarlet that she let them down from the roof with. So and it shall be. And if thou utter this our business, then we will be quit of thine oath, which thou hast made us to swear. And she said, According unto your words, so it be. And she sent them away, and they departed. And she bound the scarlet line in the window. And they went and came unto the mountain, and abode there 3 days, until the pursuers were returned. And the pursuers sought them throughout all the way, but found them not. So the 2 men returned and descended from the mountain, and passed over, and came to Joshua the son of Nun, and told them all the things that befell them. And they said unto Joshua, Truly the Lord hath delivered into our hands all the land, for even all the inhabitants of the country do faint because of us. So there is the chapter in which Rahab was helping the spies avoid capture in the city of Jericho. And she had made a promise with them that she would not tell of them if they spared her and her household, her brothers and sisters, and everybody that are in her home. So we'll get to chapter 6, and then we'll see what happens with that. So in chapter 6, verse 1, and let me get my slide there, sorry. Now Jericho is straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, and none came in. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor, and ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go around about the city once. Thou shalt do 6 days. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow with the trumpets. And it shall come to pass that when they make a loud blast with the ram horns, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpets, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend upon every man straight before him. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priests and said unto them, Take up the ark of the covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of ram horns before the ark of the Lord. and said unto the people, Pass on, and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. In verse 8, And it came to pass, when Joshua had spoken unto the people, that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of ram horns passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. And the armed men went before the priests that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, the priest going on and blowing with the trumpets. And Joshua had commanded the people, saying, Ye shall not shout, nor make any noise with your voice, neither shall any word proceed out of your mouth, until the day I bid you shout. Then shall ye shout. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city, going about it once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord, and the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets of the ram before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went out before them. But the reward came after the ark of the Lord, the priests going on and blowing with the trumpets. And the second day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they rose early about the dawning of the day, and compassed the city after the same manner 7 times. Only on that day they compassed the city 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time, when the priest blew with the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. And the city shall be accursed, even it and all that are therein, to the Lord. Only Rahab the harlot shall live, she and all that are with her in the house, because she hid the messengers that we sent. So Joshua set out the commandments, and man, this is going to be a very powerful image here for us as we read. And ye in any wise keep yourselves from the accursed thing, lest ye make yourselves accursed. And when ye take of the accursed thing, and make it camp of Israel, and make the camp of Israel a curse, and trouble it. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron are consecrated unto the Lord. They shall come into the treasury of the Lord. So the people shouted when the priests blew with the trumpets. And it came to pass, when the people heard the sound of the trumpets, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down flat, so that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. And they utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both man and woman, young and old, and ox and sheep, and ass with the edge of the sword. But Joshua had said unto the 2 men that had spied out the country, Go into the harlot's house, and bring out thence the woman, and all that she hath, as ye swore unto her. And the young men that were spies went in, and brought out Rahab, and her father, and her mother, and her brethren, and all that she had, that they brought out all her kindred, and left them without the camp of Israel. And they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and of iron they put into the Lord's treasury of the house of the Lord. And Joshua saved Rahab the harlot alive, and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel even unto this day, because she hid the messengers which Joshua sent out to spy out Jericho. And Joshua acquired them at the time, saying, Cursed be the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city Jericho. He shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest son shall he set up the gates of it. So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame was noised throughout all the country. So man, what a chapter. I love that story. I remember reading that or hearing of that story when I was little in Sunday school classes, and Miss Judy and Jan telling us about the city of Jericho. And so to go back over that here in Sunday school in the adult class is so much fun to me. And up until this point, Joshua has been faithful. I believe the Israelites have been faithful to everything he has told them. and everything that God has told them, and God was with them. And Joshua, the Lord's promise came true, that everyone was going to know that Joshua was for the Lord and that the Lord was for Joshua. And verse 27 definitely magnifies that and says that his fame was noised throughout all the country. So at this point, I think it's safe to say Joshua is definitely regarded as leading Israel, and I think he's doing a really great job of that. And but everybody's human, and so we'll see what they do here next. With the time that we have left, I was curious if anybody had anything up until this point in the book of any of the chapters of Joshua 1 through 6 that came of note to them, or anything they want to share, or any questions.
Rahab was listed in Hebrews chapter 11, in the faith chapter.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that is so incredible, that God used her, and the value in faith that she did believe. She's recognized with Moses, Aaron, all the, everybody by faith, and she was in that faith chapter. I think that's pretty special.
Yeah, it is.
She's also mentioned in Matthew chapter 1 in the genealogy of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Yes, I was going to get to that, that I had read that she was part of the genealogy of Jesus Christ. And I believe she's not the only woman of that statute.
And Ruth are also listed.
Which I think is really interesting. I mean, if I was Rahab and they were writing the great books about me, I'd be like, okay, you said it once, but do you have to keep restating me as Rahab the harlot? But maybe that's of importance. I believe everything in the Bible is of importance, and so the fact that they state that over and over again, Rahab the harlot, Rahab the harlot, Rahab, I think it just goes to show. I think the Bible tries to show that God can use anybody. People obviously make mistakes, and none of us were born without sin, and I don't believe any of us have ever walked this earth without committing sin. And to God, sin is sin. And there's different probably variations and judgments of people towards different things, but God can turn people around. And I think that He obviously used her in a great way. Her family was spared and blessed because of it.
She was also a very good businesswoman.
Yeah?
That was her business. That's why she had all that flax and everything on
Yeah.
her roof.
Yeah, she had a lot of side businesses, I guess, and things that she had. Oh yeah. And I wish, I wish I had more. When I read this story, I just wish there was more. I wish there would, that there was more to unpack or to talk about, like the city of Jericho or what else was going on. But I think the Bible does a really great job of painting that picture for me. So you can imagine, the city of Jericho is probably a bustling city, right? I mean, tons of commerce and tons of people and lots of merchants and things, but obviously that city wasn't on the side of the Lord, the God of Israel, and so it was destined to be destroyed. But we'll see what Israel does in chapter 7 moving forward next week, and I encourage everybody to go ahead and read ahead and so that we can talk about this and have a great discussion about everything.
As you see them going and conquering these different towns, it looks almost like they don't have a choice, but in Joshua chapter 11, it talks about the one group of people that did make peace with the Jews, which makes me think that all of them had that opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Just like Rahab did.
Yeah.
If Jericho had come out and said, hey, we submit to you, we submit to your God, I mean, you could not live in the Jewish community and keep your own religion.
Oh, yes, yeah.
You had to conform to their society, to their laws, and in order to live in their society. But they were perfect. They could have saved their own lives if they had done that. And that's basically what God calls people to do today. Give up your life, serve the Lord. That's how you get saved.
And I was curious. I mean, when first reading this, I was wondering, like, man, they were all super afraid. They all knew of the wonders that the God of Israel had done. It said that they all had fainted in their hearts. Did anybody else, say, well, hey, I'm going to believe their God. I'm going to stop all this nonsense that I'm doing and believe their God. But did it state, reading through, I want to say that, I mean, it did state that they saved only Rahab and her household. So I believe, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't say that they saved anybody else. So I'm assuming the rest of the city didn't believe.
It's just like today. Why don't people serve the Lord?
Yeah.
People are stubborn and they love sin.
Yep. So it's very, very interesting and very interesting how much of the Old Testament that, as I've read it, can still apply to today. And so I encourage everybody to go back and reread this if you haven't, and I can't wait to get further into the book of Joshua next week.